Um, I was pretty, I was so impressed to see such a highly achieved and educated individual as you. And we're so excited that you're going to talk to us about empowering businesses with protecting intellectual property rights, a very hot topic today. So, Dr. Lipika is the founder and CEO of Life Intellect Consultancy Private Limited India. She has 20 years of experience in academia and industry in the areas of technology, innovation, and IT. She holds a PhD from Indian Institute of Science. She's also an alumna of IIM Bangalore and a registered Indian patent and trademark agent. Dr. Lipika is passionate about technology and innovation. And today I think we're going to hear much more from her and how she has helped scientists, innovators, the government organization, business owners to protect their ideas by enabling generation of valuable intellectual property, be it at the invention stage, or design stage, a product stage, and an idea or business process. So once again, welcome to WEF Bangalore Digital 2020, Dr. Lipika, and we look forward to having a meaningful discussion with you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Good evening to all the participants, or good morning, depending on from whichever part of the world you have logged in. Today we'll talk about IPR, intellectual property rights, and how it can empower a company in this road to success. So in today's competitive environment, innovation is the mainstay. Like for every business, innovation leads to development of intellectual property rights. Now, when I say every business, it means it could be a software, it could be manufacturing, it could be healthcare, creative design companies, performing business, music, printing, toy making, you name any company. So they need IPR, they need this kind of protection. So it is not limited to just technology company. That is what I would like to make it clear. Okay, so now particularly it is important for the companies or individuals who invest huge sum of money in research and development for creating some indigenous product or services, some creatives. So basically, identifying, developing, and leveraging innovations provide a competitive edge for your long-term success of a company. So the company, like physical properties, this intellectual property rights can be, they can sell this IPR or license it out to a third party, or they can assign the rights to third party and get some revenue out of it. Now, when we talk about IPR, it is a basket of rights that we talk about. That could be your trademark, patents, copyrights, database rights, design, and confidential information. So these are the different kinds of rights that we are talking about. So every year, the number of filing, IP filing by worldwide, it is increasing almost 20 to 30%. So according to World Intellectual Property Right Organization, in last year, 2019, almost 3.3 million patents have been filed globally by different patent offices. If you see IBM, which has got a grant of 9,000 odd patents, which is the first place, and IBM is holding on to this position for last 24 years. Next is Samsung, around 6,000 patents been granted to Samsung, then Canon, then Microsoft, around 3,000 odd patent. So even though these companies are highly successful, still they keep on filing patents or IP, different kinds of IP. Why? Because they need this protection to protect their rights and stay ahead of the competition. Now, what are the challenges for the small company? Because IP creation definitely is a process that you spend a lot of money in this process. Like at Life Intellect, while working like with a strong technical background, with a deep industry exposure, we've been blessed to work with broad spectrum of clients in India and abroad, including established company, research organization, as well as startups. And while working with startups, it is basically a lot of mentoring, hand-holding goes into while creating IP for the startup companies. And So then what we will just talk about, as we said, IP is a different kinds of rights. We will talk about today only 5 different kinds of IP with the time that we have. Uh, One thing we have to remember that these IP rights are not a kind of a fundamental rights or natural rights that you get, but you have to apply for these rights and get the grant or patent or a trademark right. And but there are some kinds of right that comes naturally, like copyrights. So we'll talk about that in bit later. Now, what are the consequences of getting a patent or trademark or copyright? What happens is you get economic rewards, and which is determined by the market, and it equally proportional to the value that you are to your customer. The customer are willing to pay for you for your product. Like you even say for Apple products are so costly, but still customer are willing to buy because the kind of value they're creating, a kind of rights they have, make sure that they've been protected. So this is what happened. Then now let's talk about trademark. So what is a trademark? Trademark basically identifies goods or services those are produced by a specific person or enterprise. Like for example, BPL, it could be a mark, or it could be a device, like picture of a Coca-Cola. It could be a label, it could be a name like Tata, Birla, or it could be a word like Infosys, or slogan, packaging, a combination of different colors, roar of lion, like sound can be a trademark, or it could be smell. Now, what are the terms that you get the protection? It is basically 10 years and renewable in every 10 years. So you can say it is one of the intellectual property rights which has a perpetual protection. Like as long as you are in business, you keep on renewing your trademark and it is your right. Unlike other forms of trademark, kind of intellectual property rights. Now, in trademarks, there are different kinds of class. We have 45 class. So depending on the type of business you are in, you have to protect those kind of class. And when there are in India, we have 45 different trademark classes. 35 are for the product classes, and 10 are different kind of service classes. Next is copyright. Copyright, it prevents copying of your creative, whatever which is copyrightable material by others. And copyright is basically automatic. As I said, you don't have to go and file for a copyright, but uh, the moment you finish writing a novel, the moment you finish completing your painting, it is your copyright. But when you file a copyright, you get certain kinds of right that will help you in enforcement of your copyrighted material. And another important factor for copyright is it has to be tangible. Like you have made some, say, sand art and all, which is not fixed, so that copyright will not be possible for those kind of things. So it has to be fixed in some form. It has to be tangible. And copyright is given for the expression of the idea, not for the idea per se, unlike patents, which we will come to that later. So the way you have expressed the painting, the novel, the poetry, so the way it is expressed, that is copyrightable. The same idea, same Taj Mahal can be clicked by many people, and the person who is clicking the picture, the way the person is clicking, it is their copyright. So that is how the copyright is granted. And then the copyright can be for literary work, dramatic work, artistic work, musical, cinematography, photographic, sound recordings. And for business point of view, it could be your marketing collateral, softwares, music, films, websites. So these are the things can be protected under copyright. Next is design protection. So design, basically, when we talk about design, it is the aesthetic, the appearance of the article, like how the glass design looks, how a fan looks like, how a lamp looks like. It doesn't relate to function of the product, but it is purely the way it looks. and the protection we get is for 5 years, and you can renew twice. So the total year of protection is 15 years for a design protection. Okay, so next come is trade secrets. So trade secrets are something very important, but most of us, especially the company or the individual, the startups, they don't pay so much importance to trade secrets. But this is one of the valuable piece of information, kind of right they can have it. And if I say trade secrets, so what do you mean by trade secret? So trade secret can be any information that gives your business a competitive edge. It could be a formula, physical device, a survey method, or idea, recipe, business plan, pattern, strategy, advertising methods, or distribution method, your document tracking processes. So it could be any of these processes that gives your company a competitive edge over your competitors. The important thing to identify is there is no legislation, like for say in India, that you file for a trade secret and then you get a grant like a patent or design or copyright. But it is basically you have to maintain the secret. You have to maintain the document saying that in my company, these are the trade secrets, and the employee handling these trade secrets are supposed to keep it secret. They should be bound by a trade secret agreement. And if there is a breach of the agreement, then you can by common law you can approach the court to take the remedies under that. But for that, the employee has to be aware that it is a trade secret of the company, and he is supposed to keep it secret. If he's not aware, and if he's not been taught about how to manage, how to protect this trade secret, so then it is going to be a mistake on the part of the company. One more advantage of trade secrets is for patents, for copyright design, they have limited terms. The trade secret is a secret as long as it is kept secret. For example, the very famous, well-known one is the Coca-Cola. Like for last 150 years, it's a trade secret. So that's how the moment it is breached by somebody, it is leaked by somebody, there is no more a trade secret. So that is why the trade secrets are very important for small companies or startup companies, because if you cannot file patents for 10 of your ideas, you can put it in the basket list of trade secrets and keep on protecting. And as and when you have the cash flow to go and protect as patents or other kind of protection, then you can take it out from the trade secret list. So the challenges for the company, what happens is how to identify which are my trade secrets. Sometimes companies are not aware that these are my trade secrets. So you have to be sure that to identify what are your trade secret, make a list out of it and maintain that list. And then say you have 10 ideas, as I said, you whether to keep it as a trade secret or whether to file for a patent. There are pros and cons in both the cases. And how much time do I have? I'm not able to hear you.
Doctor, you have another 5 minutes.
5
in
minutes.
case you want to take questions as well, then I'll be able to give you another couple of minutes after that.
Okay. So just fifth one is a patent. Patent is the exclusive right. It is the strongest form of protection. We get patent right for 20 years from the date of filing, and what is there in the claim is only protected. Remember that patents are negative rights. You can exclude others from creating, producing, using, selling, importing your invention, but it sometimes doesn't guarantee you that you can manufacture that, because if your patent is being shadowed by another existing patent, then you cannot manufacture your product. Okay, so these are the things. But for a patent to get grant, there are certain criteria that inventor has to look for. It has to be new, it has to be non-obvious, it has to have some utility. So these are the things. And finally, another 2 minutes, I will just wrap up with some key points that you cannot go on filing patent. You have to be sure that whatever IP you are filing, you have a paying customer for that product and process. Then only you will get value out of that filing and patent. And second is, do a proper prior art search before you take up any business, start any project for your company, because you should not start working on a project which has already been, rights has been taken by somebody else. And third is FTO, freedom to operate. Like, you may not be interested to file your patent, but you should not step on others' IP rights. So that is very important. And the third one, what I could say is that, if you, as a small company, don't get sued, because if you are sued by a big company, you will be finished in no time. So that is the thing I can tell. So these are the few tips and key points for a company which is starting in a journey of creating IP portfolio, I could say. And I'd be interested and love to take few questions.
Currently, Doctor, I don't see any questions. If you'd like to continue for a couple of minutes, and
Yeah.
if there's anything you'd like to share, we're
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah. So maybe another one or two points I would like to add here. Like, when there is a big company, they already have created a business, and they already have created, maintained a big IP portfolio. But whereas for the small company, you have to prioritize your IP filings, and these IP filings should be in tune with your business goals. So that is one thing important that you have to remember. And as a small company, other thing is that in a company, the decision maker or head of R&D must have some basic idea about the IP process, because that will help your attorney to cover your objective and identify the relevant IP within your companies. Third is, don't dump all your idea into one big patent. What happens is, if you have 4-5 idea in a different kind of a product, don't put everything in one application. It might get stuck. Take out as and when one is ready, go on filing that, and then keep on putting a remaining product in a state secret list. That's how you can make a balanced portfolio with your available money that you have. So that's the one that I would like to conclude with.
Right. Thank you, Doctor. I don't see any questions, but the topic has been so interesting. I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure,
Yes.
definitely.
I'd like to know, when is it the right time to come to a consultant like you? How do we even know that our idea is so unique that it can or cannot be patented? Where do you start that process?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So what happens is, we spoke about 4-5 different kinds of IP for a patent and design. The thing is, if before you go to public, you have to file. You cannot wait, say that, okay, I don't have budget now, I will start getting some revenue and next year I'll come and file. What happens is, the patent law say, before you disclose it to public, you have to first come to us and file it. It has to be absolutely novel. Before telling anybody, you should file. So if you're going public, before that you have to file. And you don't have to wait the idea is fully finished, so that what happens is, by the time other people would have filed about your idea, or it should not be too raw that you file today and tomorrow by the time your finished product comes, it is totally a changed product. So when as and when your idea is kind of clear, prototype level, so that time you could decide to file a patent. But whereas in case of trademarks and copyrights, you don't have to be worry about your public disclosure. You can start your business, you can start your company name, logo, and later you can go and file. So that is the advantage there.
Okay, that's helpful to understand. Also, are these always in our minds as laymen? We always think any of these IP rights are an expensive proposition. Are all the 5 that you named all are an expensive, or can they be done for a reasonable price?
No, they definitely not. Like, say, you can say the trademarks and copyrights, the design, 15-20,000 it's to start with. I mean, that is the budget you can have. So
Okay,
it's not
that's
costly.
excellent.
So that's the notion I when I start working with clients, so they
Yeah.
always have that. But whereas for patents, if it is an Indian patent, it is lakh to 2 lakh, like that. But if you are looking for, say, US and UK, so that is definitely
That's
a
fine.
little expensive. Yes.
Okay, great. Let me check for another second if any more questions have come. Give me a second, Doctor. I will just recheck if we have any questions pending. I'm afraid, yeah, no questions. So I think I will then help you sum it up. Thank you
Yep.
so much. This was very simply put. You made such a otherwise a very difficult topic seem very simple. It was interesting that you started with the basics, that it isn't a fundamental right, and we should all realize that, and be able to know when's the right time to go in and give your idea that importance. And to have so many different type of patents. You hear trademark off and on, but to understand that there is copyright, trademark, each having their own individual characteristics was very interesting. Thank you, Dr. Lipika, and I'm hoping that if anybody would like to connect with you, they can reach us through the WEF platform, the help desk, and we will
Definitely.
have you all connected.
Thank you so much for wonderfully coordinating and moderating the sessions. Thank you so much. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
be here.
See you, Doctor. Bye-bye.
Yeah, yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You could leave, Doctor. You have to exit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Hello, Ramona. Perfect timing.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry for being late, but I had some problems with my connection, so I had to call the organizers
Yes,
to fix
yes.
the problem.
I realized I could see you, but I couldn't communicate. But I think it's a good timing. I took the other lady earlier, and we've had you just when she's finished. So thank you so much. I'm going to take a minute and introduce you to the panel and the audience that's watching you. Give me a second. Yes. So I'm. Please correct me. You're Ramona Mihaila. This
Yes,
how you pronounce? Yes.
yes,
Great.
like this.
Okay. Okay. So it's a pleasure to have you with us, Ramona. I understand you're from Romania and you're an educationist and an author. And just for the audience, Ramona is a vice director of international relations and a full professor, PhD at the Faculty of Foreign Languages and Literature. Today we have her talking on the power of literature to influence human consciousness. She's also been the director of the Institute for the Social Studies of Gender, Dimitri Cantemir Christian University, Bucharest, where she teaches undergraduate and graduate courses on literature, women's writing, gender studies. How interesting is that? I have never met someone who works on such a niche line as gender and literature studies, etc. So, Ramona, we're looking forward to hearing you over the next. We have 25 minutes with you. So, if you like, you could speak with us for 20, and if there are any questions, we could take it over the last 5 minutes. So, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, it is a pleasure and a privilege to be here. I'm very glad I'm with you. I also attended the forum in Cairo in March, but then unfortunately this virus blocked us to travel and to meet again. But at least we have this.
Yes, this is once it's happening for the first time at such a global scale. So yes,
yes.
we're also very excited to meet people finally across the table.
Yes, and a few things about me. As you mentioned, I'm the Vice Director of International Relations at my university, which is the largest private university in Romania. I also teach literature at the Faculty of Foreign Languages. Where I was the dean of the faculty 5 years ago, and then I changed to being vice rector. And I want to underline from the very beginning that you told that you have never met a person who work in gender studies and literature. So I try to combine them because in Romania, we don't have a tradition concerning gender studies or concerning women's studies. We don't have these majors. We don't study this in universities. So they are only indeed some niches. So only few people are specialized in this, and they go for trainings and so on, conferences and other meetings abroad. I have already been a member of many projects, European, especially European projects concerning gender studies and especially the promotion of women. Um, uh, so I'm trying to organize a master program next year in partnership with a university in New York in order to launch this gender studies and social studies. We try to mix this because in Romania, which is a former communist country, um, gender studies and women's studies are not only familiar, but they say, well, you women have all the rights in the world. What do you need more? So, yes. So on one hand, yes, indeed, we have all the rights. Sometimes I say joking, of course, that we have more rights than we need. I mean, even the right to cook, to take care of children and other rights like this. And to have a career and so on. And in the former communist society, they expected a woman to be multilateral developed. I mean, she could function in all the fields. So they promoted this kind of powerful woman, but on the other hand, a woman who didn't have too many rights. And for example, she couldn't decide upon the number of her children because the abortion was illegal. So during 1970 to 1990, when the revolution came, more than 20,000 women died because they provoked abortions by themselves. So we need to study this, and we need to research upon this painful event that happened in my country. But after the revolution, so for the last 30 years, people don't want to talk anymore about communism and about these issues. So only few centers of gender studies, like my center in my university, try to work on this and to invite specialists and so on. So I teach my students both literature, and also I teach literature, 19th century and 20th century literature. But also I try all the time to teach women's writing and to tell them that a lot of women struggled for their rights, and they have to go to vote because young people don't want to get involved in politics, in any kind of politics. They don't want to involve in social activities. They just want to do their job, and that's it. So we have to educate our students beyond their how to say, their hobbies or their activities, and to try to involve them in many volunteering activities and so on. But it is very hard, very, very hard. Now the Romanian society is like an occidental one, like all the countries in Europe. So even the educational system is the same like in Europe. So we have this opportunity to study in any university in Europe we like, and then we can, for example, if we study for a year in another university, when we come back to our university, we can have all our credits and so on. So everything is equal in terms of education, also in terms of master programs. So we teach 3 years for undergraduate and 2 years for graduate. After 5 years, they can enroll for PhD, and then in 3 years, so in 8 years, they can teach in academic field. Concerning literature, of course, I try to blend literature, I mean the real one, and also the specialty literature in terms of critics books and so on. And I try to teach my students how to discover I don't know, many guidelines and so on in these critics books. And also we try not to work on stereotypes. And I also teach men writers and women writers, and also men critics and women critics concerning feminism, gender studies, and so on. So we try to discover how how are their points of view, if they are men or women. So we try to go further, and not to be influenced by the stereotypes. We also, in Romania, we have let's say a multicultural society, because we have a lot of religions and a lot of people. Romania was conquered by Romans and then by a Turkish Empire, and then we became free. But meanwhile, a lot of nationalities live in Romania, so we are very open to all this. We are a lay society, and we respect all the other opinions. What can I say more about this? I really try to have these programs on gender studies and women's studies. There have been some other attempts of having a master on gender studies, but all of them had social component, I may say. So all of them address not only to gender studies, but also to discrimination, to violence in family violence, to I don't know, minorities' rights, and so on. So we try to mingle all these things.
Right. So I was just trying to see if there was a question, if there are any questions, but I don't see anything currently from the audience. But I thought I could ask you a couple of questions now that you've shared about what your university offers. But I wanted to understand, when you talk about gender studies, women writing, are we also talking about a global perspective, or is it very relevant only to your country? I mean, so the question actually is, do you see Indian students coming and studying with you as well to do PhDs and postgraduates?
Yes, we had Indian students too.
Right.
So we offer these international programs. They are taught in English.
Right.
Even the master program will be in English too. So we first of all, we have a national program which is called Romanian for Foreign Students. This addresses to students who would like to study and then to work in Romania, to remain in Romania for more years, and they choose to learn Romanian and then to attend a faculty. Then we have these international programs. We have a lot of foreign students. We advertise this. I work with foreign students because I'm the head of international relations. So I like to meet all the international students.
Right.
And we are like a small family, because let's say we have like around I don't know, 200 students, no more than this. So I have to see their papers. I have to take their papers to the Ministry of Education. Then they are accepted. They get a letter of acceptance from the Ministry of Education. Then they have visas, and then they come to Bucharest. where we take care of them in order to find a place at the dormitory and so on. Romania is not an expensive country, so it is affordable for all the students in the world. So we have students from India, from Egypt, from Morocco, from Iraq, Iran, Ukraine.
Nice.
Yes, many
And
Europe.
what is the balance of genders? Are there more women doing such courses, or there are more men doing such courses? Is there an interesting mix? Or how do you see that panning out?
It is funny that, for example, for the gender studies course, I had all the times I had more boys than girls. So,
yes, good to know. Yes.
yes, it is funny. Yeah, but as a matter of fact, we don't have, you know, we have a curriculum, but they are allowed to choose only 20% of their classes. The rest of them are compulsory. So that's why these courses on gender studies or women's studies and so on are elective. And it is a very good thing that a lot of boys choose this kind of programs because they want to I don't know, to develop themselves, to find new things, to get rid of prejudices. Because even nowadays, in many families, in many traditional families, moms or parents teach their children that there are differences between them. So even nowadays, we have boys that they know that they have to do only what boys do, and girls, and the same thing for girls. So we try to.
Interesting to see boys also, you know, taking the lead on such topics now, because it is required in the world. I mean, Romania may be a little ahead in terms of how you've already been dealing with gender issues. We in India are yet to take on such a lead role, but all in all, I think it's very encouraging that there are such niche topics that one can actually educate themselves on. So it's been lovely hearing you, Ramona, and getting a perspective, a global perspective on topics like gender and women writing and literature and the way they have a role on human minds today. I'm going to also take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do and give you award you with a WEF award, which is called the iconic Women Creating a Better World for All. Your awards will reach you by soft copy, given the times that we are in currently. And hopefully within a week, we should be in touch with you again to confer this award. Congratulations. And it's such a pleasure to have you participate with us on one of the first digital forums of this nature. So
Thank you very much.
so much. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, and thank you for the prize. Thank you.
Yes, yes. No, a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.